Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money. With your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 450. Do you hear that? 450 of Screw the Commute podcast. And I couldn't think of anybody better to have on a momentous occasion like this that my buddy Judith Briles for part 2. She's back by popular demand from last week on episode 447. And if you missed that, you got to go back and listen to it because she really gave us a lot of the insider stuff on publishing. And now on part 2, she's going to talk about book marketing. And listen to this. Talk about walking your talk. To date, up to today, her books have been translated into 17 languages, over 1 million copies sold. She's been featured in over 1,300 radio, TV shows, repeat appearances on CNN, CNBC, Oprah. I was telling her last week that she better hurry up and get back to CNN before they disappear with poor ratings. They need her really bad. And she's been in Newsweek, People, Time, Wall Street Journal, USA Today, and she survived a mention, or I don't know if it was a feature in the National Enquirer. So we'll bring her on in a minute. Hope you didn't miss episode 449, Esther Inman. Now, Esther is not a name you would think on a 30-something young woman, would you? Well, she was named after that chapter in the Bible, but she is really doing biblical things in that she is helping people become virtual assistants in as little as 90 days. And some of them before that are making money as virtual assistants. She's a military spouse, and she's known as the online work queen. So check that out, episode 449. And if you like money, all right, you're probably listening to this because you like money. Well, I'd be glad to send you some for referrals. That's our affiliate program. So you can make big commissions by referring my products and services, and you won't get any complaints because I'm a stickler on customer service. So email me at, go over to screwthecommute.com, email Tom at screwthecommute.com, and ask me about it. All right, let's see. I want you to grab a copy of our free automation ebook. I'm going to say you're welcome right now, because if you use the tips in this book, I mean, just one of the tips has saved me 7.5 million keystrokes. And people said, oh, you're just making that up. Yeah, I am kind of making it up because we actually estimated it from all the things that these tips will automate for you, so you don't have to type like crazy all the time and get carpal tunnel syndrome. So grab a copy of that at screwthecommute.com/automate free. And since this is the 450th episode, we're having a big sale today. So check that out at screwthecommute.com/ hey, what else could you call it? Big sale. All right. And you'll see a whole bunch of really super duper deals on that page. screwthecommute.com/big sale. Now, we're right in the middle. We finally released our super program I'm so proud of to help people with physical disabilities get hired and or start their own business by getting them a full scholarship to my school, the only licensed dedicated internet and digital marketing school in the country, probably the world. So check out the GoFundMe thing. We'll probably have it at the top of the big sale page so you can find it easily. And if you'd support it, you'd really be helping change some lives. These people are really great. I can't believe their attitudes with the things that they face every day. It gives me a great dose of gratitude seeing that, boy, I don't have to go through that. So I want to help them out. All right, let's get to the main event. Judith Briles is an award-winning and best-selling author of, listen to this, 37 books. I mean, 37, that's almost as old as I am. 37. Yeah, about 30 years ago, including over 45 book awards for her publishing and marketing books. Just a couple of them here. Author U, Y-O-U, creating and building your author and book platforms. Snappy, Sassy, Salty, wise words for authors and publishers. The crowdfunding guide, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm going to get a copy of that since it's going to go on for the next month for authors and writers. How to avoid book publishing blunders, bloopers, and boo-boos, and how to create $1 million speech. She's out of Colorado. She's a founding partner in the Book Shepherd, a book and publishing consulting and project management firm that works with authors at all stages of their book to create a book they never regret. She's here with part 2 to talk about book marketing. Hey, Judith, are you ready to screw again?
Well, why not for the 450th time?
That's right. Oh, boy. So we had you back last week. We got to have people go listen to that if they missed it at episode 447. So now we're focusing on the book is needs marketed. And I was going to say the book is done and needs marketed, but we both know it's late if the book is already done and you're starting marketing, right?
Boy, isn't that the truth, Tom?
You're way late, in fact.
Yeah. So when let's just start with this. When should book marketing start? The day you start writing. That's what you're saying. Oh, okay.
Before you were born. That's right.
Yeah, I missed that one. All right. I missed that mark. So when do you start marketing? Today. All right. So if we missed the first opportunity, which is when you started writing, then wherever you are right now in the process, whether you're pre-pubbed or you're already got book in hand, marketing, serious, kick butt marketing starts today.
And we know that this is a downfall of many authors, right?
It's the number one downfall, I think, Tom. But besides, here's the other one. Everyone will love my book. And my book is for everyone. No, it's not. It is not for everyone. And in fact, I learned long ago that the more you niche yourself, the bigger your market is. The more you drill down and be so myopic and focused, you have a better opportunity to becoming the king or queen pin in a topic, a subject. It doesn't matter if you're the pioneer in it or you're just jumping on board. That if you just myopic is the right word, be focused and go after that. But the next question is, do you really know who your market is? And that's, Tom, so many people screw up on that. They really don't know who their reader, book buyer should be.
Well, they're stuck in that mentality that their book's for everybody. But I have to correct you 1 second. There is a market that any book could work well in. And that is the market. And I'll take your book right now if you have it, because I need to raise my monitor up about 6 inches and I need some books to stick under it because there's no more yellow pages anymore. Or the doorstop market. That's also a market that you can dominate.
Okay, so doorstop. Okay, I will go with that. But most of us don't visualize our books being used as hold up other thing props or for doorstops. We really think that, oh, it's going to change their lives, or it's going to be the story of the year, the hot story of the year. And the reality is that it could be the hot story of the year for a specific group. The thing is, you got to know who your group is.
Yeah. And that takes some thought and research. It's just not, hope and cross your fingers.
Years ago, I was, I do these all the time. While people are listening to this, I have an event going on in my home that I do once a month, and it's called the Author U Salons. And it's kind of a pick my brain. And there's no agenda. People are invited over. I have coffee and tea ready.
Can I get a facial too, since it's a salon?
I used to do that. I used to do those kind of things.
I got the thing. Everybody says, how come you look so young? Because if you keep your weight up really high, it takes all the wrinkles out. I don't know if you know.
Oh, yes, it does. Because it fills out the skin. Yeah, it fills out your skin. But anyway, I have these things I call the salons, and I have coffee and tea ready. People they've always been told to bring a healthy snack to share and of course we couldn't meet in person during the pandemic, but we opened up this month. And I also made it available for the Zoomers. They could still participate, but all I have is a flip chart, Tom, a flip chart. And that they can put any question up on that flip chart and they will leave with an answer. Now, in 99% of the cases, I know the answer very quickly for this, for whatever the question is. But when you have 20, 30 people in the room, there's other answers, which is very cool. So at one of the salons that one of my clients was working on his book cover, and he had done all this research. This was his pre-marketing research on what would be the right one. And I said, let's do a focus group. Let's take it out. We'll spread it. And he created questions and ratings and all that. And he came back, and this is a huge mistake, especially newbie authors make on book covers, is they think they should put every element of their book story or their solutions or whatever their theme is about an image on the cover. And the answer is no. It's just confusion, what you end up with. And he had pulled all these elements out and all that. And these people all loved it for whatever reason. And I'm going, oh my God, I am going to lose. This is the first time I'm going to lose on my cover recommendations. And so finally I said to Courtney, so now tell me who was in your focus groups, because he had like 20 people. He brought in spreadsheets, Tom.
He's trying. At least he's trying.
Absolutely. And I just said, before I threw in the towel, because I was going to call the designer and say, okay, it's option B, that I said, so Courtney, who was in your focus group? Oh, well, my wife and my brother and my next door neighbor. And I had a few friends in and all that. And I said, none of them count.
Right.
None of them count. The only person who belongs in your focus group is the person who reads this genre and is your potential book buyer. So who in this focus group reads this mystical stuff about the Native American? Nobody. Me. Okay, so we threw it out. We went with plan A, which was, the book was called The Raven Mocker. And it was this brilliant red cover that popped, but just the black raven mocker on it and just a few other elements in it. And it was the book that when you saw a cover, because the cover, this is marketing, everybody. Your cover is so essential. It is the lighthouse. It's the beacon that says, come to me, pick me up.
Hey, is there any truth to the figures you hear bandied about of how much time a person spends on the front cover and back cover and stuff?
Yeah. 3 to 5 seconds, 7 seconds max on a cover.
Front cover, you mean?
Max. Yeah. Back cover is 20, 30 seconds.
Okay.
In that. But, and your back cover is such a rich piece of real estate for book marketing. And that one of my covers that when I wrote the back cover for my book called Stabotage, and we should talk about titles too, because that's part of marketing. Mm-hmm. But titles, and you could have an oddball, maybe a kick-ass word for the main title, mm-hmm. but does it really tell people what's going on inside? So you have to remember on the title that the subtitle, at least for nonfiction, your subtitle is your promise for what's between the covers. That's your promise. So you better have a good emotional pull to bring people in, and your key words, at least in that, especially if you go for a weirdo word that you think is the lure for the title. The back cover is rich for marketing. And so on my book called Stabotage, which was this, a variation of sabotage and women stabbing other mm-hmm. women in the back, that's where Stabotage came from, that the subtitle, and this was specifically written for the healthcare industry. So the subtitle was how to deal with the pit bull, skunks, snakes, scorpions, and slugs. See, how to deal with the pit bull, snakes, scorpions, snakes, and slugs in the healthcare industry.
You said slugs.
When that book was on display at my tables at a speaking gig, people would just, they knew exactly who I was talking about. Exactly who I was talking about. Now, the back cover had the headline, and I'm a big believer, even for fiction books, to do headlines. So the headline on that one was, are saboteurs in your midst? Big question mark. And then I had a few bullet points. Does anyone ever take credit for your work? Do you have to deal with pit bulls with lipstick? I had these kind of things. And by the third bullet point, the book was sold. It was sold. It was sold. But you have to understand, it's not a namby-pamby. They don't want to hear about your dog Fluffy unless that's what the story is about, Fluffy. That you have to really get to the point and understand the power of bullets, the power of space, and the power of keywords that grab in to solve. I've always said it's not money that makes the world go around, it is problems. And we authors are problem solvers, whether it's in our storytelling and we're going to solve your problem of I need to escape. I can give you escapism. I can give you fantasy. I can give you rich storytelling. Or if it's nonfiction, it's delivering solutions or, moving a career ahead or insights, ahas, etc. But understanding that will make all the difference in marketing, which is your book cover does count, both the back and the front.
Well, I love that title because it kind of reminds me of the joke is that your good friends will only stab you in the chest.
Well, when I did the study for that book, what I found out, Tom, was that, and then this is how I pitched it to the media. This is how I got on every media show. I said this: contrary to popular belief, men don't discriminate.
Yeah, you busted a myth.
And then I shut up because then they have to say something. Well, what do you mean they don't discriminate? Women do. If they are going to be a saboteur, they are likely to target their own gender, where men don't discriminate. They'll take anybody on. So
yeah, that
anyway,
was a great media hook, basically, is what
it was huge media hook. Yeah, huge media hook. And I will do the add-on. The National Enquirer was a feature on me and the book. My first book, Woman to Woman, From Sabotage to Support. And they actually treated me very well, Tom. They called me and read the story, and did I approve of it?
Wow.
See, I wasn't a celebrity per se. I mean, I wasn't, someone doing naughty stuff.
Well, we'll try to work on that with you. But,
okay.
So me, I'm the internet guy. So part of marketing is websites, but you think there's two specific things a website has to have when it comes to book marketing. What are they?
Well, your book, how's that?
Okay. Good idea.
I want you to have your book. I want you to have a speaking tab. And you and I mentioned this, I think, last week when we were on together. Speaking's the number one way to sell your book. So you need to be very rich in there, and you need to have also on that website a author one sheet, a book one sheet, and this is a bold brag of why you're the hot one, why this book is the hot one. And this is where you really need to learn in on my one sheet. And I can tell everyone, you can go to thebookshepherd.com and click. It'll be on either the media page. It's on the media page. It's on two pages, two tabs, the media as well as the speaking tab. But that everything everyone needs to know about me as someone who is an expert in working with authors about books is done in 5.5 sentences. That's it. And you see a lot of these things, Tom, go on in perpetuity.
Yeah, nobody's going to read that stuff. And
don't read it. There is a couple of testimonials, right? There'll be a testimonial from event planner, a couple of clients, but it really will go along the line. And I use numbers like when you introduced me that I've had 17 foreign rights in 17 countries. It says it's 17. We don't spell it out. That I've, given over 1,500, 2,000, who knows at this point, presentations. that we don't. We'll next time we do it, we'll bring in my podcast, which is had, and we will spell out 7, comma comma downloads
Mm-hmm.
for that, because what you need to understand for marketing is people remember numbers, numerical numbers. They don't remember them written out.
Yeah, and especially at if it's a number as the first part of a bullet, always the numeral for sure. And
Always.
Mhm.
Yes, always. And so what you want to do is on your website, you need to have a one sheet about you. You need to have that for a speaker. You need to make sure, this is my preference as someone who hires speakers for some of the events that I do. I want to know what you do. I want to know in 2 sentences what every talk's about. Sum it up for me, baby. And have that. I want to have 3 to 5 bullet points on what my participants will take away. I can make a decision in seconds of whether or not I'm going to reach out to someone based on what they have. And, if I've seen them or I have other things that I have to do. But every website needs that. Every website also, this is a button pusher for me for marketing. Why do people insist on their contact page to put in, say, what's your name, what's your last name, what's your email, and here's a box, and you can fill in what you want.
Nobody fills those out ever.
It ticks me, when I'm on the search for someone, I'm looking for a phone number.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So your contact page better have a phone number that you are reachable at. It better have an email. I would like a snail mail address. I mean, I like to send notes to people.
Yeah, and even that tells you what time zone you're in.
Exactly. And you might want to say that. Now, my contact page, it really opens up. It goes, it sets it up, but it says, if you're an impatient person, here's my phone number.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my snail mail. I mean, I go through all of it on that's so complete that there's no question. And I'm reachable. I think what everyone needs to understand about their websites is that their purpose is to be findable, that people can find you. And the purpose is to collect emails. The purpose of your website is to connect emails. So what goodies are you offering to people to extract that they will get that, and you start building a relationship? And it doesn't, you're not pitching them, you're sharing information. I mean, what do you get? What are your giveaways? Tom gives away a lot of stuff. I give away a lot of stuff. That's what you want to do. So whether you call it a lead magnet or an opt-in, every website should have one.
Yeah, and I got to tell people, I've been doing this since the beginning. With all the stuff that's out there nowadays, still the big money is because of email. There's no question about it. So,
because I don't know if you noticed this past week, though, there a little thing came out that the websites from Amazon to so many were actually out of commission for several hours. Did you see that?
Yep.
All right. So that when you own an email, that's yours. It's gold for you. So, and I'm just amazed that people don't get it, Tom. I'm amazed that they don't get it, how important it is to collect them.
Well, that's what we're fighting against here. And the ones that do get it are the ones of the authors that are going to be very successful. And the ones that don't get it are going to be the authors that have a garage full of books. Right. So, all right, let's get off of websites for a moment, because when the necessary evil came around called social media,
Yeah.
okay, tell them what you think about that and the platforms that authors should use. And
it's a love or hate it. It truly is. But also get over it. It is a town hall. And there's different platforms that if you got a business related book, nonfiction business related book, that you need to be on LinkedIn and Twitter, and you can basically say, screw the rest. That's where the players are. If your objective is to do a publicity campaign to go after and get the attention of the media, Twitter is the player. So one of the marketing tips you all should be doing is that wherever your state, your location, your region, you start with certainly the national but you just want to go into Twitter and put key names of whether it's a Fox News, whether it's CNN, whether it's ABC, NBC, blah, 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 Good Morning America, Today, they all have handles. And then you think about other people that would be important to you and your local, what's going on in your state and your region. Because I always think in marketing, you ought to be, a lot of authors make a fatal error thinking, of course I should be on the Today Show. Of course I should be on this. Well, maybe, but one of the things I learned when I was very fortunate with my book on sabotage. I ended up getting a 4-page spread in People magazine.
Mm.
And they came to me because of the publicity I was getting.
Right.
They're interested post. They were interested in post. And that if you build up your power in your region, your state, your city, spread it out this way. So who are the players in the media? Find out what their handles are. And a lot of times in print, they have them in their columns, in their little signature at the bottom of it. But you can post things and then you start learning the power of coattailing them. Newsjacking.
Newsjacking, yeah.
Yep, where you will add in a post that at sign, whatever it is, that all these big people have folks who read those streams to see what's there. And, you may have, I remember when do you remember years ago when the toddler fell into the gorilla pit?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
Right. So if I was an author and I was writing a books on parenting, I would be all over that.
Mm-hmm.
I would be all over that on that. And I would have been using also, hashtag parenting, but I would going after, and I would be writing up lines, how to keep track of your toddler at the zoo. I would
Right.
be doing, how do you keep track of a toddler? And any of us have been around toddlers, they can move like lightning. And how do you keep track of your toddler so you don't find them at the bottom of a gorilla pit?
Yeah, and that's a tragic story, but
It was
that's
tragic.
But the thing is I teach my folks to use Google. Oh shoot, I can't alerts, and so they put keywords. Like I have a guy that's a martial arts expert, and they sell this special kind of pepper spray stuff. So and he's also an active shooter expert. So he's got all these keywords in Google Alerts. As soon as an active shooter or some incident happens anywhere in the world, he's on the phone to the local media because he gets it, instantly from Google Alerts as soon as it shows up in the news. So
exactly. I had a client who wrote a book that I thought it was a terrific book, and the title was something like it dealt with crises, whether it was a shooting, whether it was a fire, whether it was a flood, fill in the blank. And it was what to do, what to say, how to connect, to reach out and help someone else. And I could not get them to do this, just exactly what you said. Put in for alerts when something comes up that they immediately reach out to the media. I can give 5 tips for every listener when this kind of, drama happens in their neighborhood or whatever it is. They couldn't do it. They couldn't market, which is one of the biggest problems, Tom, going back to where we started, is I just want to write. I don't want to market. And I want you to get freaking over that.
hey, what was that stab title again?
Which one?
That's the one with stab in it.
Sabotage.
Yeah, you got to get that in the dictionary because newsjacking was invented by David Meerman Scott.
Right. I have his book.
Yeah, he's been on here, and his daughter was on here too. But he got that in the dictionary, and he's working on one now to get in there called fanocracy. so
Ah.
that stab, I keep thinking stabalicious, but that's not exactly
Oh no, when you're being sabotaged, it tain't
sabotage.
stabalicious.
Yeah.
It ain't stabalicious. It is, and there's just so many things in female dominated environments, but that's a whole nother topic,
Yeah.
Tom.
All right.
But I think that what's important, you mentioned Google Alerts. Let me give our listeners another, I think, fabulous alert system. And I think it's more effective than Google Alerts. And it's
Okay.
called Talk Walker.
Talk
All one
Walker.
word, Talk Walker. And that every time we put our blogs out like their press releases. And by the way, I'm going to say that's a good marketing tool for all of you that you just turned it into. You can go pr.com, prlog.com, look what their guidelines are, morph your blog a little bit, and voila, you've got a press release on something that ties into your expertise.
Mm.
And that every day I get things from Talk Walker with my name in them faster than Google.
Wow. That's
So
really
just sharing,
Yep.
just sharing with
Oh,
our listeners.
that's awesome. Let me see here. Now, is there any bookstores left? I mean, do you have to even fool with them anymore?
Well, I think that yes, there are. In fact, I just set up 4 book fairs with Barnes and Noble. That Barnes and Noble has been very kind to a project that I've been involved in, like you are with so many, in the Authors Hall of Fame. And they do, and all of you who have an event, a cause, Tom, you should know about this for you,
Yep.
that approach your Barnes and Noble, ask them if they're opening any book fairs. Mine, actually, one of them reached out to me that we couldn't get any sniffing from an independent bookstore. And I always want to support the independents. Barnes and Noble said, Judith, we're ready to do some book fairs to support the hall. Here are dates available. I bring in authors from my community and I give them 2-hour slots to sign their books. Barnes and Noble brings in their books. B&N in turn, and we have these coupons. They actually make them for us, and we give them to customers as they come through. Anything that customer of Barnes and Noble buys within the store that we're at, anything. I don't care if it's socks, or books, puzzles, fill in the blank, that they will donate 10% back to the Authors Hall of Fame.
Nice.
And we did a couple of those that they actually raised all the money to build our website. Now, how cool is that?
That's awesome. Yeah.
It's freaking cool. So I want to support those kind of things. And that I think I'm glad you brought up bookstores. Are bookstores going to be around? Sure they are. They're viable in a lot of different ways, but you have to, if your goal is to get your book into the bookstore, whatever the bookstore is, and bookstore, the managers, the people in your divisions, whether it's kiddos or it could be cookbooks or it could be fantasy, they have buyers or people who manage those shelves. I think that probably in a bookstore today, that's a major chain like B&N, you would say managers of that section, several sections. And that's where I would go down in pre-marketing and show them my covers, what I'm thinking about. What do you think? Would this be a attractor? I would ask them to even look at the back cover copy. You'd be surprised how helpful they could be. With that said, if your goal is to get into a bookstore, here's what you must do. And there is no exceptions. You, dear author, must be driving butts into that bookstore to buy books. And if you are not going to put the time and energy in to do that, then you need to address your ego, which is saying, I want my book in the bookstore.
For 2 seconds until they damage it and return it.
So let me give you some other ideas. Okay, we're in summertime. We're in the hot days of summer, right?
Yep.
Coming up. There are book fairs, fairs of all sorts, crafts fairs. There are festivals. There are, and things are all opening up now. There are farmers markets that I have one client that just from the months of May through September, 3 whatever that is, May, June, July, August, September, 5 months for 3 years in a row, sold 10,000 books this way.
Wow. Farmers markets.
Farmers market. And this was a cookbook. She always took something to nibble on. Okay, so that could be chancy right now. But there's other things you could do. And I have a blog, actually, I put out this past week on the Book Shepherd, which really deals with 26 things to enhance your selling at book fairs,
Mhm.
book festivals, and farmers markets, including, please make sure you bring a couple of bowls, empty bowls, and lots of water to keep them full for the pooches.
Yep. That makes sense. And
People always have their dogs, right? If they got a dog, that dog is going walking through that event.
and sunscreen.
Yeah, well, you could give little samples of sunscreen, but there's things that you do. You need a chair for yourself. You need maybe some ice. Bring an ice cooler in there. In fact, I would get one of those. I've got one. I've got a wagon. I have a Red Flyer wagon, but you can get Costco and Sam's have these wagons or whatever the knockoff in your neck of the country is that you could actually collapse, but there you could haul everything in. Nice wheels, haul everything in. I use them for my events. Your boxes of books. If you have kiddo books, this is a great way to hustle and sell a lot of books. And you need to have props. And one of the props is, guess what? Your smartphone, because you're going to offer to take a picture of Sue or Joe and send it to mom holding your book or in the booth or something like that. So those are great ways, alternative ways to be out and enjoy the outdoors. I would get a canopy of some sort. You can have a table, but sometimes it gets freaking hot. And I would get a canopy that is absolutely guaranteed one person can put it up. You don't need a PhD to put this thing up, which I've seen those and have those. And I think that you should have a huge banner, that shouts out, this is marketing, shouts out your books. If you've got multiple books, God, get them all over there.
Everybody wants to be an Amazon bestseller. Now you could be a farmer's market bestseller.
Absolutely.
There's not any competition either.
No, you just have to buy the bloody table.
Yeah, you'll be the only one there. Yeah.
You could very well be.
Well, I've been to a lot of farmers markets. I've never, ever seen a book set up at one.
All right. And have you seen kids at a farmer's market?
I've seen kids and dogs and all kinds of people, but never saw anybody selling books.
This is the market, mom and dad.
Right.
If this is you. But also, there's other things that here you are. It's a beautiful day. Farmers markets are almost always in the morning hours, in my recollection. I mean, sometimes they go longer, but they're usually over by 1:00. And where part of your pitch could be, hey, would you love to have a great read on this beautiful day? Discover, Jim's Mars Fantasy. I mean, I don't know what your book title is, but where you can deep dive into this, and I'll bet you'll sell books.
That cookbook made a lot of sense. That's for sure.
Oh no, cookbook for sure. Oh,
yeah,
for sure on that.
All right, so let's jump out of the farmer's market because that's an absolutely killer idea. If you like that kind of stuff, and back to the old standby Amazon. What do we do with Amazon?
Oh, what do we do about Amazon? First of all, I think you all should thank Amazon. If Amazon hadn't come along, which whose only objective at that time was to sell books. If Amazon hadn't come along, the independent market, the self-publishing market would be still at the vanity press arena. And so I'm not going to beat up on Amazon on that. They keep changing, as any organization does. I'm fortunate enough to be in on the old Advantage program with Amazon that they stopped bringing on new players, I guess about 2 years ago. And that they're just like any other wholesaler. They take 55%, I get 45%, and we run it through and we ship books to them, and it's all good. now they have their other programs. And of course, what Amazon would like everyone to do is to be on print on demand. I mean, that's really what the KDP self-publishing model is about, and pushing it forward. And that, if you're getting your feet wet and you don't want to go through a full-blown print run, and you're not picky about what paper you use, or let's say the quality, let's say bells and whistles that you could have on your cover, like embossing or debossing or spot coating or foil printing or anything like that, that you can just matte or gloss works for you. That I think it's a great avenue to go in, and you're not, sitting with thousands and thousands of dollars plus books that now have cobwebs on them in your basement or your garage. Why do you start getting your toes wet to figure out what this thing is all about, called book marketing and selling, and am I in my right market type thing? So Amazon is a portal, and I think you need to use it. And here's what I've also found, because Tom and I will talk about doing a program for all his followers, but I've created an unbelievable Amazon bestseller program that I'm going to keep you in number one in every category that you're in. And I'll do it for 72 hours minimum. And on the domino, when you come off, this is on a free ebook, then you come off, you'll find that, oh my God, your regular ebook is selling at its regular price, and so are print books.
Yeah, let me jump in here, because a lot of them have heard me ragging about these really pitiful Amazon bestseller programs. So where you can be brain dead in your 2 seconds, you're a bestseller and you sold one book a month.
That's nonsense. That's nonsense. And Amazon actually doesn't love that. What Amazon wants to see is that you are building momentum, that you're starting to sell a few books like every day. That makes them much happier. That means that you've got some legs to you. You're rooting in. You're developing a following.
Yeah, it's like I said, if you do it right, it's worthwhile. But if don't get sucked into the people that are trying to sell this BS for lots of money, I might add.
No. I've got a client who has done extraordinary well on Amazon. He finally went to a paper edition. It was a hardback book. Book was called Shot Down, and his market was military, World War II. That was his market. Where has he sold his books has come back to not at the farmer's market, not at the farmer's market, military air shows.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. He is now with over 1,000 reviews on Amazon.
Real
Amazon.
ones, yeah.
We reprint 5,000 books at a crack. He goes out, and the Air Force brings him in to talk. This is about his father, who was a pilot and was shot down over Belgium. And he ended up, the townspeople hid these guys. 7 of the 8 crew members survived, and that they were underground in a variety of ways. And his father decided he would be a mute, and he joined the Belgium underground to fight with them. And he never spoke a word, so the Nazis didn't know he was an American. And so he is a hero. There are museums to his father. There are monuments to his father. And when they heard that Steve was starting to work on his memoirs, stories, all of a sudden, these letters and these notes started being sent to him that these people in the town had kept from these crew people.
Wow.
How cool is that? Not cool?
That is crazy, crazy, crazy awesome.
So what Amazon did, you're talking about Amazon, when the book started getting traction and pushing out, and he just, doing these air shows, he went to these military museums. He just found that this was his market. And that's why I'm going back to what I said when we first started. The more you niche yourself, the bigger your market is.
Yeah, and just if you talk to the guy, he probably knows this, but if you reach out to Martha McCallum on Fox News, so she's doing a daytime show now, but she's crazy into this, crazy into military and highlighting the people from the war and stuff. So So there's a little lead for you. So
I will follow up.
yeah. So we got to take a brief sponsor break. When we come back, we're going to get Judith to tell you the kinds of things you can participate in with her. And she's the one that you want to do, not all these, shysters out here. Just all of a sudden they wrote some schlocky book and then, and then they want to tell you how to do it. So folks, I usually tell you about my mentor program, but today is different because I'm really, really, really right in the middle of this great program, pilot program we're doing for people with persons with disabilities, putting them through my school. And the reason I'm doing it because it's perfect for them, where they can legitimately learn from home without all the burdens they go through of travel and all the stuff, and no book purchases, nothing, no expenses. And then they can legitimately work at home or start their own business or both. So we're doing a GoFundMe GoFundMe campaign to finance this. We're going to hire several people with disabilities to help run the program. And so we're going to put about 5 people through there, and we have a GoFundMe campaign. It will be at the big sale page, because this is episode 450, so it's kind of a momentous time for our podcast. But right at the top, we'll have that, and if you could support it in any way and share it, any little bit helps, and we have anything you're comfortable with certainly helps. And if you could share it around, you'd be really helping out the people and changing their lives. So thank you for that. So that would be screwthecommute.com/big sale if you're listening to this podcast. All right, let's get back to the main event. Judith Briles is here. She is the real deal on if you want to get stabbed in the back or you don't want to get stabbed in the back. No, she'll show you how not to, so it doesn't happen to you. See? So, and I keep thinking stabalicious. No, it's, what is it? What is it again?
Sabotage.
Sabotage. That's right. That's got to get into the dictionary. There's no question about it. So tell them all the things you have that they can work with you on.
Well, there's lots. I'm going to tell everyone that as an author, you want to let people know you have a book. There's a couple of books that you should get your hands on. And Tom mentioned them. How to Avoid 101 Book Publishing Blunders, Bloopers, and Boo-Boos. Get it. And then the other one, which ties into our marketing and the reinforcement of speaking is the number one way to sell your books, is my book, How to Create a $1 Million Speech. And that's 1,000,000 in the title. Those books, the chapter 14 is gold in that book, because I give you my speaking contract that I paid $1,000 for an attorney to put together for me. And I tell you every reason why this sentence or this paragraph is here, why you want to include this kind of thing. All right. So I would absolutely get mine. Now, I have a couple programs. I do have a mentor program where I work with you for 6 months. There's 2 slots available this coming month to work with it. And it is really hands-on time with me. Well, people in Colorado sometimes show up in my offices to work, but usually it's all over, in the Zoom arena, and a variety of things. But it all starts with what are your 5 key goals that we need to solve within the next 6 months, and they will be solved. All right. So that's the mentor program. I have a speaking unplugged. I do several events through the year, and they're all called unplugs. One's book publishing, one's social media, one is book marketing, and one is speaking unplugged. In June, we're finally live in person. There's 3 spots left. Speaking Unplugged here in Denver. It's a 2-day intensive with me and other people. I mean, we're not talking hundreds. We have to limit it to 30 this year. But that you will work and you will be hot seated. So hot seated is you tell me, I'm trying to work on this closing. I will just say, get up here. We will do it in front of everybody and get it done. So that's what that thing is like. And then we do a variety of other things where you can participate one-on-one. If there's a book in you and you can't get it out, I can pull it out. If you need help in making a book that you have no regrets about, the book shepherding program where you are a monthly client until we get it done, and until, depending upon where you are, if you are in the very beginning, rough stages, then it's going to take, maybe 4 months to really get it done. I am not a believer. You cannot write a book in a weekend. Not a polished book, not professionally all done, not having your editing done. Can you do a draft if it's a shorty? Sure. I've written a book in 6 days, but then there's several more months of work that has to be done. So those are the things I'm working on, Tom.
That's beautiful. Now, what she just said doesn't count for ebooks. I've made
Well,
millions
that's a
of dollars
different
on short.
animal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
different animal
that's a different
altogether.
animal.
So she's talking about some real, serious books you can not regret, right? That's the whole
Well,
thing.
I mean, I actually, of the 37 books that I've published, and then I'm working on my next book is the author's guide to the savvy author's guide to book marketing. That 18 of them were with New York. There is only 2 books with New York that I didn't have regrets about. Only 2.
Oh, you're saying 16 of them you regretted in certain ways?
In some way, yeah, the cover sucked.
Oh, okay, yeah, because it was
You
out of your
know,
control, a lot of it. Right?
it was totally, yeah. Well, this is one thing you all need to understand. In New York, they don't care about your opinion.
Right.
Oh,
You know Cindy Cashman?
I don't.
Oh, she's the best author ever to hit the world. She wrote the book What Men Know About Women, and the whole book was blank.
Blank.
Yeah,
There you go.
she sold 4 million of them.
Oh, I wish I could come up with something like that.
Oh man, yeah, she was a kind of a semi-literate single mom when totally broke when she came up with
Mhm.
that idea. So I think you could write that one in less than a weekend.
Well, wait a minute. Hey, let's say, what the majority authors know about book marketing? Blank pages.
Yeah, there's some spin-offs. She was the original. It just had its 25th anniversary. She sold, I think, 4 million of them, and then sold the company out, and they sold millions of them. She sent me one last year for the 25th anniversary.
I think that's great. All right, so Tom, why don't we brainstorm one of those little blank?
Yeah, really.
I mean, I'm serious. I'm game.
Well, we'll have to get it on your next appearance here because we're running out of time. And tell them how they actually find all this stuff you just told them about.
Aha, just go to the website, The Book Shepherd. And shepherd is spelled SHEPHERD. There are variations.com.
Mm-hmm.
But also, if you put in judithbriles.com, it'll go to it. If you put in bookshepherd.com, it'll go to it. If you put in, I think, my last name, briles.com, it goes to it. And by the way, Tom, that's all part of marketing. You have to have variables. Try to think of how people are going to go searching for you and lead them to the main event, but give them the opportunity to find you without needing a PhD.
Exactly. And common misspellings and things like that. And like if you do anything with a number in your domain name, you need to get both the spelling and the numeral, and don't let somebody else have it, because then part of your marketing will go to the other guy. So yeah, lots of details, and Judith is the one who'll fill you in on them. So thanks so much for coming on again. This part 2 was just full of great tips, just like part 1, folks, episode 447. So go back and listen to that, and then go see Judith and get in one of her programs. So thanks, Judith, for coming on.
Thank you for having me again, Tom.
Okie dokie, folks. We'll catch y'all on the next episode. Remember, hit Judith's site at thebookshepherd.com, and also screwthecommute.com/big sale will be where we'll have a big sale for you because of the 450 episode, and the link to the GoFundMe campaign to help out those folks